I'd like to call this meeting of the Faribault School Board to order. Mr. Clerk, do we have a quorum?
Mr. Chair, all members are present.
Thank you. And we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, all of you in attendance. Item 2 is approval of the agenda. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda approved. Item 3, recognition, awards, and presentations. I see nothing listed here at this time. Brings us to item 4, community comment. Any citizen may address the board. 3-minute limit per speaker, 15 minutes limit per topic. Is there anyone who would like to address the board this evening? I'll say no. All right, moving on. The consent agenda. Items can be removed, or we can pass this with one motion, or a board member can request separate action. Any requests? All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second, and this requires a roll call vote. Mr. Clerk?
Tom,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Yvette,
Aye.
myself, I, Jerry,
Aye.
Andrea,
Aye.
Chad.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, it passes 7-0.
Thank you very much. That brings us to item 6, the Curriculum Committee, which finished meeting moments ago.
Good evening. We had our Curriculum Advisory Committee meeting this evening. We had the middle school come forward with a proposal that they would like to bring forth to a board work session, I believe, to talk about making changes at the middle school level. I won't get into each detail with that because I do believe that they'll be coming in this direction. We also had a good conversation about the salutatorian, valedictorian, and the possibility of making changes to summa cum laude and et cetera. And they will also be bringing that to the board work session. And that's about all we got to because that did consume the whole entire time. Tom or Jason, would you like to add anything? I know you're both there. I know I'm being a little bit brief, but I think both proposals are coming forward, so I don't want to elaborate without them.
Yeah, just really quickly, the middle school proposal I think is quite impressive for the amount of work that's gone into it. It's clearly taken a great deal of effort on the part of a large number of people on our middle school staff, and so I think they have a lot to be proud of with the proposal, and so I look forward to the entire board being able to see that because I think it speaks very well to the leadership in that building and the staff in that building.
Yes, I would just like to thank all the staff that participated in putting together that report. Reflected a great deal of thought and effort, and well appreciated. Thank you.
Right. Yes, go
Chair,
ahead.
Yes, sir.
just a question on the ninth grade academy. Does that come up for discussion?
So the ninth grade academy is supposed to be part of every curriculum advisory meeting. This evening, the middle school proposal ran a little longer, so we didn't get a chance to talk about that again, but it will be part of the agenda in our November meeting, a key component, so yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, any other questions? As I said, I would go through the middle school model, but it is rather complex, so we will wait for that committee, and so is the salutatorian and valedictorian conversation. So those are the 2 items we had. Thank you.
I would invite any board members that would have questions The middle school proposal was it went longer than intended. If there's any questions that you might have prior to our work session, you could contact Jason or I, and we'd be happy to, I think I can speak for Jason, be happy to tell you what we have. There's a considerable amount of materials. And Colleen, do you know if that PowerPoint that was used tonight is available on the website at all?
If it's not, I can definitely have it sent to all board members so that you're ready ahead of time. You will probably have a lot of questions when you receive that PowerPoint, but it will all be explained at the board website.
Just a point of clarification, you meant to say that they can give Colleen or me a call with regard to the middle school concept. I don't want 4 or more board members talking about the middle school before it's actually been acted on. So.
Again, I sit corrected.
Okay, all right, thanks.
All right. All right, no technology report under item 6 this evening. Item 7, Policy Committee, no report. Item 8, Finance Committee, report on the minutes of the October 17th meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The items before you will be discussed. They were approved by the Finance Committee as they were brought forward. I guess I would just want to say a big thank you to Timothy Justin, who is a new Finance Committee member, and he was an excellent addition to the Finance Committee. And we continue to look for new Finance Committee members if there are people out in the public interested in that.
Thank you. All right, we have a number of items for action based on that Finance Committee report. Item 8B1 is the Phoenix School Counseling Services for 2016
This current school year.
17.
Yep.
Then it misprinted on my agenda where it says 2016-2016.
Oh, it says 17 on this one.
All right, and this is services for which our district is kind of a pass-through agent reflected in services for the Divine Mercies School. And it involves no general fund expenditures. Are there any other questions, any other statements regarding this item?
Mr. Chair, I do have one question. If this is an individual, does this individual have their own errors and omissions liability insurance?
Did you check into that, Andy?
This is an LLC, so not an individual. We can check. I haven't checked specifically with them to find out, but we can look into that.
Okay, they
Yep.
still should have some kind of liability insurance.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they do.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'll look.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do you want just number 6? Did you check into that one?
Yeah, we're looking into the Title I consultant. We're checking in with her to make sure that she has it as well. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Andy, I know this came up at our finance meeting, that this one and several other, the ones that we're gonna talk about, actually have an administrative fee percentage in there. Is it
Yep.
too much to ask that in all of these, if you state that percent?
Yep. This one is 5%, so it's roughly $2,500, I think, is what we
Or
get.
would you just
Yep,
put
going
that
forward, we can put that.
percentage in there? Okay,
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Andy.
Further questions or comments about item 1? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Phoenix School Counseling Services.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 8B2, an EL secretary proposal. And I believe this is a 5-hour-a-day position, reinstatement of a position that we had approved on a 1-year basis last year. Based on the information I've been given, that there's a significant workload that needs to be addressed. And this is coming from Sam Oak, I believe.
Mr. Chair, I guess I just would clarify my understanding of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that this position originally was budgeted, but he decided to use the para position. So this is an additional This would be in addition to his budget, and that's why it's coming from the general fund. Originally, it was in his budget as a secretary, but he decided to shift
Okay, so
to a para,
it
so
is
it's
resulting in an additional expenditure,
on the
but
staff.
the
yes.
position did exist last year.
Is that accurate? the way I'm-
It's accurate. Both of you are accurate. It was a one-year position, then Sam made a choice of hiring either a para or the secretary. He chose to hire the para this year
Right.
to be the classroom, but we were finding out that the load is too much and he does need secretary help.
And we did have discussion about this position. There's 961 EL students currently, and 53 in the newcomer. So it is quite a student body to try to schedule and keep track of to get the funding sources that we do get for the program.
And based on a discussion that I had with Mr. Sesker, this item, and I believe at least one of the other items under consideration for tonight are going to be funded by some, I believe we lost a bus route. Or
Yep.
we didn't lose a bus route, we chose to eliminate a bus route. So there's some savings there,
Yep.
which can go to provide these others. This and at least one other item, I believe.
Yeah, the idea is that we know that we have an expenditure that we don't have now and we can replace it with these. So we're still, the expenditure side, we're still breaking even.
Any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion to approve the EL secretary.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 8B3, the middle school robotics program proposal. We had some information about that at our last board meeting. And questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I'll be abstaining from this vote. There is no direct conflict of interest, but the perceived one is enough that I would prefer to abstain from this vote. So I'll ask that you do a roll call vote on it so I can abstain.
Not a problem. Thank you very much, Mr. Rambert. Any other questions or comments regarding? Yes, sir.
Comment, there was an excellent article in the Daily News on this, and thank you, Daily News, for reporting that, because it really shows how well that, and what that will mean for students at the middle school. So, thank you.
All right. Other further questions or comments? Hearing none. I believe we need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
Tom,
Aye.
Jason,
Abstain?
Yvette,
Aye.
myself, I, Jerry,
Aye.
Andrea,
Aye.
Chad.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, it passes 6-0 with one abstention.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. All right. That brings us to item 8B4, McKinley Preschool Staffing Proposal. Mr. Sesker, could you make a comment about this item?
Yeah, well, we have been doing a really nice job of getting some more preschoolers in our program, and we have a couple of different options that we can use in order to support financially these additional costs, Pathways 1 and Pathways 2, and then also our school readiness program. So with that, in the preschool, it's a matter of ratios, and to have these different ratios appropriate, we need to hire another staff person. This comes out of the community education budget. It does not come out of the general fund.
Thank you. Further questions or comments? No, just my comment is it's gratifying to see that we have a increasing program and well received. So thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion to approve the McKinley Preschool Staffing Proposal.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 8B5, McKinley, a 1.0 FTE Early Childhood Special Education Teacher Proposal. And I believe this is, again, to reflect state law and staffing ratios and so on. Am I correct, Mr. Sesker?
Yeah, that is, it's part of the IEP for the kids and the ratio of our special education students with the staff. There's a 1.0 FTE for the early childhood special ed teacher. You probably saw that for 65,000, and in addition to paras for 76.9. Of that cost, 50% of that, approximately 52% of that cost will be reimbursed by special ed. The rest of it has to come out of the general fund, right? And that's above and beyond what we have in our expenditures.
Todd, question for you. Just when we have these proposals brought to us, like in this case, it says funding special ed.
Mhm.
Is there a way to do that breakdown? To do that breakdown, 52% special ed, 48% general fund, or something like that? Just
There
so-
is. That's a good idea to do that, and I actually asked for it at the SevSec meeting. So note to Rob and I, we'll go ahead and do that the next time
Okay.
through. Yeah, we'll
Thank
get
you.
those numbers in there.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Any other questions or comments regarding the F1 FTE for early childhood special ed?
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And this brings us to 8B6, the Divine Mercy Title I Funds Consultant Proposal. And again, this is that item I think I was referring to earlier, in which our district acts as a pass-through agency for, and you could correct me on what funding source that is, but it's Divine Mercy's choice to spend their funds in pursuit of a consultant.
Yeah, through Title I. Yep.
Any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion for the Divine Mercy Title I funds.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That brings us to 8C1, the enrollment report. Since I am sans computer, I believe a number of you have, the rest of you have that available on your devices. And, I don't need to see this. Are we going to have anyone speak to this?
It's really, we're still at the same point. It's what we reviewed. Our district-wide, we're about the same as our enrollment has been. We're actually up a couple of kids, but our projections are down about 50 kids right now. Andy and I are in the process of looking for some of those tuition kids that are out there still, and hopefully that'll even out some of the numbers as we go along. So we'll bring you new numbers next month.
Okay.
But as of now, we're down 50 kids.
Are these the
Projections.
numbers that are reported to the state initially in regards to state funding? The
These
October
are
numbers?
our head counts. So what I've done and what Andy has done, we've gone through the kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and we've actually counted the number of kids that are actually in the classrooms. The official will be in what's called the MARS system, and the MARS system takes those kids who are in other schools that we get a count. So all those things, including our kids, will be part of that whole entire MARS system. So
All right.
we'll have better numbers next month.
Thank you, Mr. Sesker.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
how concerned should we be, the board, when we're down 50, when we're talking about spending money, for the next few months? I mean, should we?
Yeah, I would say that,
What should we
remember,
do?
these are the projections. The projections aren't as high as we projected. We're still, I want to emphasize, we haven't dropped enrollment. We're still about the same as what we were last year, or maybe up a little bit more. It's just our projections were a little higher than what we normally, well, they're the same as what we've done in the past. We just didn't get the numbers as we've had in the past. But I would still say, I think we need to be conservative until we get those real numbers in there. I am thinking we're still going to be down a net number of students, and hopefully after next month we'll get a decent estimate about how many of those students we're actually going to be down. But I think it's still okay to be conservative.
But Todd, to Richard's question, we base our budget off of those projections, right?
That's correct. Yep, the budget is based off of those projections.
Thank you.
Yes.
Further comments or questions? I guess we don't need to take an action for that. Item 8C2, financial reports.
Did we pass the levy? Did we?
Oh, you know what, we had done that last month, so Kathy actually took it off the list.
No.
So we were done with it, sorry.
Financial numbers are, again, available in your board packet. Any questions or comments in that regard? Okay. Well, then we can move on to, and this is where I'll need your screen, Mr. Clerk. Exceptions, or, I'm sorry, Resolution 1709, acceptance of gifts and donations. And we have 4 of them this evening. Tri-State Manufacturers Association donated $500 to the Dream It, Do It grant. The Lions Club of Faribault, a value of $845, something, a long time process where they've been donating dictionaries for 3rd grade students. Item 3, Joanne's Stores, items valued at $748.41, a donation for the Kids in Need Foundation. And item 4, Sage Glass, donation of $500, donated for Camp Invention Invent Now scholarships for students. So on behalf, we don't have to act, we can act on this as a group, right? Or do we?
No, it's roll call.
Roll call? I understand, but do we have to do a roll call for each of?
No, just the whole thing.
Okay. Well, before we do our roll call, I would like to express the board's appreciation of all the organizations, businesses, groups that have so generously supported our students in these different areas, and is much appreciated. So thank you to Tri-State Manufacturers, Lions Club, Joanne's Stores, and Sage Glass. All right. I'll entertain a motion to accept these donations and gifts.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, would you read the roll?
Tom,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Yvette,
Aye.
myself, I, Jerry,
Aye.
Andrea,
Aye.
Chad.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, it passes 7-0.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk, and thank you for the technology. All right, that would bring us to item 9. Committee reports. Insurance Committee, no report. Wellness Committee, no report. Community Education, no report. Facility Committee, no report.
Well, yeah, we have the dates down there on the bottom, so just as a reminder, we're doing the interviews on November 1st with the architects, the 3 architectural firms.
Architect interviews on Tuesday, November 1st, beginning at 12 to 4 p.m. here at the district office.
Yep.
All right. And Mr. Dennert, I believe you have a special services report.
I didn't want you to have to go through the whole night without a report from you.
I appreciate it, Rob.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
One report. So,
It'll be reflected in your paycheck.
that's great, thank you. I wanted to give you a brief update on a couple things. The first is the Minnesota Continuous Improvement Process. Every special education department in the state of Minnesota goes through the Minnesota Continuous Improvement Process through the Department of Education. And what that is we're on a 6-year cycle where every different year has a particular thing that goes on. One year is a review by the Minnesota Department of Education where they come down and visit us. One year might just be a file review that we do and we give them the results. We have a couple correction years in there and a couple free years in there as well. And that makes up a 6-year cycle. As part of that process, we review special education files to make sure that they're compliant with federal and state statutes. We do a fiscal review and we complete stakeholder surveys. This year, we're on a Minnesota review year. So this year, the Department of Education came out, walked with my assistant director and I through 4 of our buildings to make sure that we had comparable facilities. So to make sure our special education rooms had the same type of equipment as the general education rooms, like LCD projectors, which we do. We have, all our classrooms have LCD projectors, including special ed and general ed. They also look at spaces to make sure that we're not in hidden alcoves down in the basement somewhere. So to make sure that we're all within easy distance of accessible bathrooms and different things like that. She took some time to talk to some of our special ed teachers and was very impressed with what she saw. So the report for that doesn't come out till June, but from talking with her, I think that she was impressed with the way we run our special education programs, at least with what she saw in the buildings. We also are conducting a special education file review. We've reviewed 20 files and we're ready to submit them to the Department of Education. This year we found 3 citations. We cited ourselves for 3 errors. In comparison, 2 years ago when they did a file review, they reviewed about 20 files and they had 63 citations. So through the work of my special education team, we're making good progress with making sure our files are compliant and making sure that we're doing the right thing in regards to paperwork for our students. So any questions about that, that process? The next thing I wanted to talk about is this summer we got our final results from third-party billing reimbursement from the Minnesota Department of Human Services. Minnesota school districts are required by statute to bill for third-party billable things, which are medical services that we provide to students through their IEP. We're allowed to get reimbursed for those things. So like speech and language pathology, that's a medical service that people can receive in a hospital. We also provide that service in schools for educational disabilities, and we can get reimbursed for that. Several other things we can get reimbursed for as well. During the 2015-16 school year, we received $540,000 in third-party billing revenue. That's about $105,000 over our anticipated revenue. So when I budgeted with Colleen last year, we set aside a certain amount that says this is how much we're going to get reimbursed. It's an estimate. We try and be conservative because both Colleen and I were conservative people. So we were about 105 over our estimate, which is good because that's revenue that comes back into our district. It's a nice added bonus. This year we budgeted for $274,000 for third-party billing. Again, I did that with Colleen. Andy and I just checked this morning. I told her I still wanted to be conservative because a lot of our third-party billing revenue came from the Cannon Valley Education Center, and that closed, and we can no longer get that third-party billing revenue. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't expect money that we weren't going to get. So the early indicators are that we'll be able to meet $274,000, and that we'll probably be able to go beyond that. So we're pretty excited about that. Anytime we can bring in money to the district, we're happy to do. Any questions about that?
Rob, that excess money sits in the special education fund balance, right?
No, special education, we really don't have a fund. We spend general education money and then we get reimbursed, and that reimbursement goes back to the general education pot. So third-party billing has to be earmarked and tagged for particular things. So we can't spend third-party billing money on a speech and language pathologist's salary because she's one of the ones providing third-party billing, and so that's against the rules. We can't spend it on a general education teacher. So there's all these rules on what we can and can't spend it for. One of the things we can spend it on is the benefits for special education teachers. And so in the school district, all that $540,000 goes to pay for benefits for special education teachers. That's money that doesn't need to come from the general fund to pay for benefits, and so that money stays in the general fund. So indirectly, it goes back into the general fund, but it goes through the benefits first and then back in. Does that make sense? So it's not, we really don't have a special education pot of money. We just get reimbursed and it goes back into the general fund eventually, filters down. Great.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Rob.
I did, by the way, just forward you, Rob does a great job with his newsletter, so I sent the newsletter to you guys too, so you can take a look at it and read it. Gives you an update on our special education programs out there. So it's very, very well written.
All right. Then that brings us to item 10. Consider approval of an agreement between Independent School District 656 and local number 70 educational assistants. Mr. Sesker, could you give us a background on that, please?
Yeah, and Nicole and Andy have kind of the details if you have questions for them. They did another great job of negotiating with the group. It was very positive. The total package, you can see at the end, it's about 6.4% with minimal language items. But if you want more details, feel free to ask Nicole and Andy.
Any questions or comments from the board?
What did you have budgeted? Was it a 6? Okay. When do you anticipate the EAs will be out of business? That's a good way of saying it, but is there a,
You better come up for this one, Nicole. We have an EA in the back, and she's helping.
So, excuse me, a handful of years ago, when we negotiated one of their contracts, we negotiated language to dissolve that group. And the way it's meant to work when we set it up was so whenever one resigns or retires, we would then replace them with a paraprofessional, a special ed paraprofessional. So I don't know an exact date or a timeline. It would just depend on, when they retire and when they resign. Yeah. Some of them have been with us for, I think maybe close to 40 years. So some might be closer, and then some of them have been
some
here.
could just quit and say, do
Absolutely.
something else and then, okay.
Yep, absolutely.
How many are still in this group?
9?
9?
Thanks.
Is it legal for her to get help from the audience? Is that okay?
Yes, please.
I think it was an approximate guess.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? I believe I can request a roll call vote on this item.
Yes, you
What I'd
can.
like to do.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the contract of the educational assistants.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second that.
All right. And as chair, I'd like to have a roll call vote on this item. So, Mr. Clerk, would you read the roll?
Tom,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Yvette,
Aye.
myself, no. Jerry,
Aye.
Andrea,
Aye.
Chad,
Aye.
Mr. Chair, it passes 6-1.
Thank you, sir. All right. We're to item 11, other items of information. We do not have a school or a student representative this evening, so we'll move on to board members. Jerry, did I understand that you were going to give us a report on the SBCC?
Give you a brief report. There is a meeting tomorrow night, but want to pay recognition to Rob and Cheryl for the work that they've done in creating the cooperative, Cannon Valley Special Education Cooperative. Very unique title. It is experiencing some growing pains, obviously. We now have 4 districts in the cooperative: Faribault, Owatonna, Northfield, and Medford. So we do have growing pains with new districts, as well as that also brings new students into the program. And that brings the unique challenges of hiring staff, not only licensed staff, but paraprofessional staff to be able to deal with the complexities that students bring to that program. It is a very unique opportunity, and as we hear discussions at our cooperative meetings, at which the superintendents are in attendance, we also know that it was the right decision to develop a program for unique students with the disabilities that these students experience. So it's a great opportunity, and it's, like I said, it's experiencing its growing pains, but through the leadership of our directors of special ed and our superintendents, we're able to address those growing pains as best we can at this given time.
Thank you, Mr. Robichaud.
So Jerry and Todd, are we at capacity, and have any other districts, you know, in the vicinity reached out to us with an interest to join?
I don't think we've had any other districts reach out to us besides the 4 current members. As far as capacity goes, that really is dictated by the caseloads that the teachers would have to deal with. And I don't think we're quite at a maximum right now, but I think we're fast approaching that point where we're probably going to have to take a look at some staffing that's going to address the needs of the students.
Mr. Chair, I don't want to surprise Jerry, but there was an article back on October 14th. Did you read this article, Jerry?
I probably did, but I don't remember what I did
About
yesterday. So.
shortages, like you said, staff, but then some of the positions, I mean, this, I read it and I talked to Mr. Sesker, is that, are we hiring for the students, are we hiring to be full employed and high wages for some of the,
Mr. Olson, we are not hiring to have full employment and high wages. We are hiring because we have a unique needs of students in that program, and we are hiring to address those needs. I don't believe anybody on the co-op board, nor the directors, nor the superintendents would hire just to hire people. We are hiring because those are their needs that need to be met.
Okay.
Are there any other board members that would like to add to the information? Add or make any comments? I have 2 things. I'd like to recognize the passing of Mr. Bill Hohentanner, longtime chemistry teacher at Faribault High School. My daughter, who had him in class, reminded me that he liked to say things like, "Don't mess with the guy with a red pen." And there may have been some others that I'm not remembering well, but Mr. Hohentanner passed away suddenly since our last meeting, our last regular board meeting. I'd also like to recognize the loss of one of our employees' families. Maria Hansen's son passed away. And so our thoughts and our wishes for her and her family go out to her and her family in this difficult time. Are there any other board member announcements? All right, Mr. Sesker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of different things. First of all, I got back at about 5:15, so I was a little bit late, but I was watching the soccer documentary that was developed by, I don't remember the name of the organization now, but I was able to watch almost all of it. I got through I don't know if you remember the Snow Bowl or the soccer game that was played in the snow. I was up there and terribly underdressed, and thank goodness for the Gramseys. They kind of saved me with some of their outdoor gear to help me stay warm. But it was a really cool documentary. It will be coming out, and I'll give you guys access to that so you can take a look at it. So I did miss the last 2 games in the state tournament that those kids played in, but very, very impressive. We also have been meeting. Our final meeting is an ad hoc committee. We wrapped that up last Monday, and it was probably one of the better meetings that we've had. They have all been very productive, and it's been a good sounding board for the 2 board members and I to listen to the community and what their concerns are and what they would like us to research. So it gives us even more support to move forward with this architect piece, which we're going to be interviewing on Monday, November 1st from noon Tuesday, November 1st, thank you, from noon till 4 o'clock. So we've got a good group of people, the facility committee. I've got a couple of students that are going to be there to help out with the interviews, and of course Andy and Kevin and I will be there as well. So it should be good. Let's see. Our PDS group, our professional development schools, it's a group of schools around the Mankato area. We've been meeting before my time anyways. I know that Dr. Stepaniak had that. I'm not sure if they've had that group together before that too, probably. But we secured another grant, another Bush grant for about $150,000. And this grant we've geared towards helping our mentor teachers who have student teachers coming from Mankato. And we are giving those mentor teachers now some professional development opportunities to help them when they end up with a student in their classroom. And some of you who've taught in the past have experienced that. Maybe Jerry, you remember having a student teacher, or Tom, a student teacher underneath you. It would have been nice to have some sort of training ahead of time before having that student teacher in there. So those dollars will go to helping hiring subs, developing professional workshops for those teachers, those mentor teachers, to adopt those. So pretty cool grant. And Colleen Cardenuto and I think Pam and Phil are all helping out with that proposal. And the number of mentor teachers we're going to send to Mankato. I've also been part of the JDAI Executive Committee. That's through the judicial, I don't remember what the acronym is, but it's through the court services. I don't know if you know what it is, Yvette, what that JDAI stands for, but it's with the county attorney, and we have one of the judges was there. We're trying to figure out ways that we can help not just our truancy piece, but also some of those students who are, we want to try to eliminate the recidivism of those kids and help them as they go through some issues that they have when they get in trouble with law enforcement. So it's a good group of people, and I'm learning a lot. I don't know a lot, and now I'm just kind of immersed with that. Matt Hillman is also there from Northfield, the superintendent, and it's been a very good educational experience for me to be a part of. Met with the chamber with particularly Kim Anderson and Steve Faribault. As Dick Berge and we continue to move the FAPSITA program but we want to maintain the scholarships, but we want to talk a little bit about programming too, so that if teachers want to request money or a grant of some sort, they have another pot of money that they can access, and if they have something that's new and innovative, we can help support that through FAPSITA. FAPSITA right now we supported about $90,000 worth of scholarships last spring. I'm part of FAPSITA, as well as there's 10 of us, I think, that are on that board. And we'd like to also move and branch that off into programming. And so we continue to talk to the business folks and to see how much enthusiasm and interest there is in that. So we haven't quite got there yet, but we continue to talk about that. So that's exciting. I've also communicated with the city and at least Shattuck for right now about some of the ideas that we're talking about with our facilities. I don't want it to be a surprise to any of the entities that are out there. I've talked to Steve Faribault at the hospital and a lot of folks about what we're thinking about school-wise with our facilities, from remodeling, redesign. We've talked about year-round school. I had a great conversation for probably about 30 minutes from a doctor that was curious about what our future plans are as a district, and he's determining whether or not he wants to live in Faribault or Eau Claire, and it's a pretty cool conversation. I got to tell you, it's quite easy to brag about our school because we're doing some really fantastic things, and we'll see what happens. So a lot of good things that are happening, a lot of good communication, not just with me, but with the city and with the county and Shattuck and BA and all the other entities that are out there. So it's been good. And that's it for right now.
Thank you, Mr. Sesker. I'm reminded of another statement I was hoping to make earlier, so I'll insert it now. I was contacted by a group of retired teachers that are working on a program to honor distinguished alumni. And they've just been getting going here this past fall, I believe, although they had made contacts with several other districts that are doing the same thing. So not that other than nominating people and so on, they're not asking for input except for possibly whatever cooperation we can gain from the high school in terms of getting the portraits hung. So it'll be similar to what we're doing for recognizing student athletes.
Yeah, and also the alumni, I don't know if you saw the article in the paper, but that was pretty cool to see the alumni from Faribault and the athletes that helped do that. And did the Booster Club run that, Chad, or how did that all?
In terms of the,
The athletes that were recognized, the alumni athletes.
no, so the Hall of Fame, that is completely separate. That's run by a group, Tom Hartman and several others, so.
Yep.
They recognize that and they do that. We are helping out facilitate all the funding and whatnot in terms of the group that you're talking about, the distinguished alumni and stuff. So we're helping facilitate their funds, I guess. They're helping fundraise, but, yeah, it's a pretty cool project they're working on, and I think it will span a broad scope of, successful alumni in many sectors, so.
That's great.
And I hope I see it as an inspiration to our current students to see how far and wide and various the accomplishments of Faribault graduates really are. So, all right, that brings us to item 12, dates to remember. Tomorrow, Tuesday, October 25th, is the subsec meeting that Mr. Robichaud referred to earlier. Tuesday, November 1st, is the architect interviews, going to be here at the district office between 12 and 4. Wednesday, November 2nd, 3:30 p.m., the wellness meeting here at the district office. Tuesday, November 8th, is election day. Monday, November 14th, will be our board work session here at the district office at 5:30. Tuesday, November 15th, at 3:45, is the Community Education Advisory Meeting here at the district office. Monday, November 21st, 7:30 a.m. is the next Finance Committee meeting here at the district office. Monday, November 21st, 3:30 p.m. is the Curriculum Advisory Meeting here at the district office. And Monday, November 28th, 5:30 p.m. is the next regular board meeting here at the district office. Having no other, I would like to comment on the closed captioning and our thanks to the technology wizards that are helping make that happen. Is that going out live at this time? Yes, so seems to be working very well. All right. I believe I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.